How's everybody doing? I want to thank you guys for popping in. Sorry, we canceled the media session earlier with our players, just obviously in light of the recent news to today. I thought you guys would understand. Wanted to be able to get on here and visit with you. It was late last night when I learned that I was COVID positive through a test that I took earlier in the day. To be quite honest, when I was on with you guys earlier in the day, I felt fine. Really had no issues. Later in the day, kind of felt some different mild symptoms coming on. I had actually returned from Saturday recruiting and tested on Saturday, was negative. Felt great on Saturday night. The only bad part was I had to wait for about 5 hours to get my results because I had two little girls at home that were waiting to see their dad. So Saturday was clean. Sunday, because of getting back into work, felt good all day. Really had no issues on Monday. There were some things going around in the building, and then, like I said, some things in just campus in general that nobody made me, nobody forced me. On Monday afternoon, I ran over and got tested, and then got the results back late last night. Extremely disappointed not to be in the Smith Center this week, and of course, looks like not being able to be on the road with my team on Saturday. But I think you guys probably know me well enough. This just got kicked into action, but this is something I've thought about since last really February when I hired my staff. Going into spring ball, before spring ball, I met with Josh. If there was ever a COVID situation, what the action would be from my replacement all the way through my staff. Really after spring ball, kind of during the summer, I formulated that same plan after getting to know my coaches' strengths and weaknesses, way our staff worked. I met with Josh again. If this ever happened, this is what we're going to do. I actually had a conversation with Gio back in the fall because I didn't know if he would understand where I was coming from. I want to make sure he was aware of it. And then actually on Sunday, I brought him and talked to him. Hey, specifically, if anything happens, this is the direction we're going and why. So I have the utmost confidence in Gio. And the reason I really went with George is I really believe our offense, defense, special teams coordinator, Ben, Ryan, and Tony have handled this season very, very well. Obviously, done some things that we can do better, but for the most part, I just like the way they've handled and managed it. And one of the things I've done in football, as well as now with my coaches, I don't really want to have one position change and move two or three people to accomplish the same task. So I went with George because he's got tremendous rapport with our players, offensively, defensive, special teams. He's assistant head coach, but I've had him on our Illini council, so he touches a lot of faces in our program. A lot of times when I'm walking down the hallway, you'll see defensive players in his office, offensive players, a tremendous person overall. So I can keep Tony, Ryan, and Ben doing what they're doing. Gio, if I'm not able to be there, I actually spoke this morning at 8:30 with our team via Zoom, gave them a brief lay of, hey, this didn't just happen overnight. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it, and gave them the plan and jumped into full execution of that. They practice. Obviously, I'm in isolation for X number of days, so I can't really be anywhere. But was able to watch practice now through film. Really enjoyed what I saw. I thought it was high spirit, good energy. We were outside on the grass field, so really good tempo. I thought it worked out well. All the coaches we met with individually, I met collectively of them and said the guys really didn't miss a beat. And I said that to our players today. Listen, fellas, just like when Art Sitkowski came in for Brandon Peters in the middle of the first half, just like Tariq Barnes came in for Jake Hansen, just like several other players during the course of this year, a role that maybe before the game they didn't know they were going to step into, and they've handled that moment very, very well. And our coaches will do that as well. It's the Iowa week. It's game 11. I was very strong with our staff on Sunday before any of this popped up that we've been preparing for this game since last January. We prepared for this game through winter conditioning. We prepared for this game through spring football. We've prepared for this game during fall camp. And this week is just icing on the cake. And the same thing goes now for our coaches. I think they've prepared for this moment very, very well. I'm excited to see them handle it and move forward. I myself, I appreciate some of you and also just a general outpouring. I was actually transitioning. I first found out when I was at home. So I went down to isolation in our basement. Mainly my wife kicked me down there. All right. So like I was down there and I was moving and transitioning to the isolation that I'm in now. And it was moments before the press release was going to go out and I was going to be in transition. And I kind of said to myself, okay, I'm going to be away from my phone for about 10 minutes. Let's see what happens here. And it's just another indicator of a society that we're in, just is so heavily influenced by the now. Had a tremendous amount of people reach out to me, especially former players. Former players, current players. I think a lot of them realize my body isn't exactly a temple of peak training right now. So they reached out to make sure I was okay physically, and really haven't had any issues to speak of or be concerned about. Got a little sniffle here and there and a sneeze, but I'm fully vaccinated, had the booster shot. Thankful for that. And good Lord being has been very, very positive. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. I would say this before I just to head it off, right before I got here, the University of Illinois football program, the athletic department had championed the COVID process during that year when I was with the Giants. And when I came here, to never have a game canceled, one of the few teams that could say that. The way we've handled ourselves to be 100% vaccinated in our building, players and coaches and support staff. It's been a policy not to comment on current situations in our building. I'll kind of stay forward with that out of respect to certain rules guarding our players as well as coaches. It's just we're adhering to all the protocols that we've been given above and beyond. We're in a good situation, but it's something obviously with me as a head coach now we got to be aware of. We're making all the precautions using both Jeremy Bush, our trainer, and Randy Ballard with the university as our guiding light, that they've been with us all the way through. So can't really comment on anything specifically, and won't comment leading into the game. Anybody that goes to the Iowa game this weekend will be fully in check with the protocols that we have to field a safe team for Saturday's competition against Iowa, and ready for that. With that, I'll open up for questions.
All right, we'll start off with Joey Wagner and then follow up with Jerry Warner. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, Bret, just the fact that you got tested when you got back on Saturday and you had that conversation with George on Sunday, was there a part of you that had a heightened concern that maybe you had been around someone? I mean, it just seems like those two measures in place ahead of Monday kind of felt like maybe you had an idea that you could be in the mix there.
It did, Joey, to be quite honest. I knew that I had been around some guys that because I'm vaccinated, contact tracing doesn't come into effect, right? But I knew people had been testing positive, and I was, again, just trying to be extraordinarily cautious in the moves that we made. It was funny, Saturday, as I sat there, and, I wanted to get home so bad, but I didn't want to put, any of my family or kids at risk. And I was sitting in my office on my bye week, and I'm like watching college football on my office desk, and I'm watching the Minnesota-Iowa game, and I'm looking at the hours go by, and I just kind of felt something, right? But then Sunday, when it came back negative, Sunday I felt fine, really, literally no issues. Monday had no problems. Was suggested that we go to the media Zoom, right? And thankfully we did, right? And otherwise you guys would have been sitting right in front of me where we're at. And I just really felt Monday afternoon. I didn't tell anybody. I told one of my support staff, I grabbed Mark. I said, hey, let's grab a golf cart and let me go over and test, and just something I felt. And really, Gio, the reason I grabbed him on Sunday was we had talked about it prior to fall camp, and with the recent news with Ryan's, I think a lot of people think you automatically, most people go to a coordinator, but I want those people to do what they do, right? And that's what I just brought Gio in and said, hey, I'll work you through every moment of if anything pops up, but I just want you. And he was great about it. And last night when I called him at midnight, he was great about it, right? I mean, he was classic Gio. I go, where are you at? He goes, I'm still at the office, right? So I should have known. But I think he'll champion the moment in a big way.
Thanks, Bret. Feel better.
Okay, Jeremy with Matt Stevens on deck.
Hey, Bret, I know you said you've been planning this. You've had a plan in place for months and probably a year now. But as you find out you test positive, what changes now for you? What are you able to do? And do you add anything to that plan now that it's going into place?
Yeah, Jeremy, great question. The Zoom world I lived in the NFL for basically almost an entire year really helped me during my transition here, and really helps me now. Some of you that may know me, I'm not very technologically savvy. A big screen right in front of me right now. My Zoom call I'm doing on my iPad, which is a huge step in the right direction for me. But it really allows me to see our staff work. I'm excited. It sounds weird, right? But I'm excited to see how these guys grow. I'm really excited to see Gio and the other coaches respond. It was fun to watch the players respond to me today when I just said, hey, just buckle up, Buttercup. This is where we're at, next man in, and we're going forward. I did talk with Bill Carollo today, right? The head of officials, and gave a perspective last year. I believe there were 5 head coaches that were knocked out of a game. So I want to know the protocols and the rules right away. I had those questions. I had researched it. I'd done my diligence, but I want to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and thought maybe this year some things might change, but I've been informed an hour and a half out from kickoff on Saturday I have to cease all communication with our team. We usually get to the stadium about 2 hours and 15 minutes ahead. So I'm going to be able to have some type of communication on Saturday morning. Great point. So Gio will handle the majority of in-face communication with our players. Just a simple thing, having them break to meetings on Friday night for dinner. He went through practice plan this morning, just routine things that are easier for him to do. Another guy that I'm going to engage, Pat Ryan, who's a longtime high school coach here in the state of Illinois. I've been a head high school coach, a Hall of Famer. I called him early this morning, and that was something I kind of surprised him with. I just said, hey, you've been in our building. He's involved in recruiting, really not been, but there's a lot of sidebar conversations. I'll walk up to him during practice and be like, what do you think? What do you see? You know, because he doesn't coach, but he knows football. He's won a lot of state championships. So he'll be a guy that, because of NCAA waiver, I'll be able to put a headset on him on Saturday. He'll kind of help manage offense, defense, and special teams. Just to, he literally said, Coach, I'll tape up and be ready to go, whatever you need me to do. Right. So just another great example of next man up in our family.
Thanks, Bret. Feel better.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Scott Ritchie, you're up. Or Matt, sorry, Matt Stevens, then Scott Ritchie.
Bret, you kind of answered my question, but is there an offensive analyst or GA that you want to have work with the wide receivers while George oversees everything this week? Or is there a plan in place for that?
You know, Matt, great question. So Gio has probably been one of the most rewarding things that I've witnessed since I've been here, just his ability to coach that position and manage it up. But even going back to last spring, I kind of, T. Reed works with our quarterbacks and with Tony, but we got about a 2-to-1 ratio there with quarterback coaches and quarterbacks. So T. Reed constantly works with those wide receivers, so he'll be able to help in that capacity. But Gio on game day is heavily involved with substitutions, play calling, signaling. So I don't want to take him out of that role, and that's why Pat will be kind of substituting in there. So when obviously when you have a wide receiver coach, when the defense is on the field, they're going to be involved in corrections and making adjustments, substitutions. So that's going to be kind of the role that Pat will kind of guide into in between there with Coach Ryan. We'll go through a lot of, you guys aren't aware of this, but I have a lot of coordinator meetings on Thursday, Fridays. Friday nights is the last meetings we have where I meet with the offense, defense, special teams coordinators. And I put together a mock game and I talk about how we want to play. We're ahead, we're behind, end of half, end of game. And Pat will be involved in all those conversations moving forward, as well as Gio. So it's something that, obviously it's upon us now, but this is something that I'm not excited, but I've put a lot of work into this, and to see it go into action, I'm excited to see it play.
Thank you, Bret. Feel better.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. And, Scott Ritchie will wrap up today's press conference. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Bret, I guess just, have you contemplated what it's going to be like when you have to cease all communication, 90 minutes out? I mean, that's a first, I assume, in your head coaching career.
Yeah, I'm seeking some advice on that, right? And isolation means what it is. Like, I'm here by myself. I can't imagine, obviously this, to take it a step further, right? Everybody want to talk about me in this game. Well, I oblige to everybody. I removed myself totally from this game. So now it truly is Illinois about Iowa, and I'm out of the equation. There's no doubt in my mind that it'll be probably one of the tougher things for me to see and witness. But I would also say that, I've also really preached to our players, don't worry about things you can't control. I can't control this moment. I got to play by the rules, then play by the things that have been set in front of me and the precedents that have been set. So I have a lot of faith and confidence in our players, our coaches, and I'll kind of just let it see it play out in front. I can't imagine what it's going to feel like. Hopefully there'll be some excitement. I'm sure there's going to be highs and lows, and I'll experience it just like every other parent. The good Lord gave me 2 girls, so I'm not maybe going to ever see my sons play college football, but when I'm not involved with this, right, I don't try to ever act like a father to my players. I just tell them I want to be their head coach, but I'm sure this is going to be one of those out of body experiences that many parents have already lived many times in their lives, and I just got to watch it.
Yeah, thank you. Feel better.
Thank you, my friend.
So there was just to wrap up the clarification on the isolation. Coach, has that been discussed with you? How long isolation would be?
It actually hasn't. My phone today has been absolutely a whirlwind. I know the protocol is obviously I received the test, the positive test late last night. So, but because I tested on Saturday, I don't know where it's going to land, but I've been told I think I'll be able to be in place for the Northwestern game if all things continue to move forward. I've felt good all day to hear. Hopefully everything continues to move in the right direction there, and I appreciate all the concern from the university and for my health and well-being, and we'll see that one plays out. But I think main focus is us right now is just trying to keep our players on task and get ourselves into a great situation for a travel day on Friday and a game on Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Hope you feel well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Everyone.
Take care.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Brett.